Do you want to know if something is worth watching and why, but you don't have a lot of time?
You need
Rapid Reviews. Here we quickly cover specific categories like writing, directing, acting, and we grade each one. Then we'll give an overall grade. The scale used is 10 to 0. 10 is perfection, 0 is garbage. 5 is the dividing line between whether it's worth watching or not. Please subscribe below.
and hit that like button.
Midnight Sky, number 1 on Netflix currently, as we're recording this. Probably not as this airs, as things move very quickly on Netflix. But Midnight Sky is a science fiction movie starring George Clooney. It's a post-apocalyptic science fiction movie. Not to give too much away. We're trying not to spoil on this one. For me, the story, the writing on this one, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It is very classic sci-fi, and I do have a soft spot for classic sci-fi. For this story, the writing, it didn't flow as well as it could have. I think there was a lot of unnecessary scenes, a lot of scenes that could have been, maybe they had necessary nuggets in them, but they could have been done better.
I give it a 3. I feel like it could have done so much more.
Why are you giving it a 3?
Because I didn't get as much as I wanted from it. I wanted the story to go further, and it didn't. It just stopped.
Where did you want it to go?
There were so many ways it could have gone. That's the thing. It started out like a really cool concept, and then it just dropped. It didn't go anywhere, really.
That is classic sci-fi. Really cool concepts designed to make you think or feel or both, but they don't necessarily go anywhere. Or they're not cathartic stories. And I thought it could have been done better. It's why I got a 5. 5 is at that just watchable. It's watchable. It's worth seeing. It's not fantastic. It wasn't as good as it could have been. Even if the story went the same direction it was originally intended. Even if it ended how it was supposed to end. How it did end.
Yeah. It just felt like it was missing a lot. Of really, like, it could have gone in so many different directions. And
give one.
They could have gone back to the planet. There could have been more about, like, mole people under the earth and had tunnels and things that they were trying to, survive underneath there.
That's the sequel.
No.
That's how you make money. A lot of leftover mysteries to solve. For directing and editing, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It did not, like I said earlier, flow very well. It had a lot of unnecessary scenes. For instance, the birds. We already know what's going on. We didn't need the whole scene where he goes out and looks at the birds that are dying. Or the box that they stayed in. Old research station, I don't know what it was, but it was basically a container with windows that they stayed in on the ice. Or the plane scene, the crashed plane scene. Completely unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. The wolf scene. Unnecessary. Basically, the middle of the movie trip from one station to another, all the stops along the way, unnecessary. Now, if you wanted to build relationships, if you wanted to express or show how bad things are, you only needed one scene for that. You didn't need all of that. It was just too much wasted time. That could have been better used, I think, if you had an idea of what it is you're really trying to do. I think the writing perhaps failed it here, or the directing and editing failed it as far as pace. Maybe you could have put those things in quicker. I don't know. It just did not work very well for me. That particular chunk of the movie. And there were things that happened out in space too, where some of the timing of various critical incidents made sense, but some of the extra just it wasn't necessary. It didn't add to the story, which was the problem.
It could have been a 30-minute movie. Done okay, like a short film. And I think it would have been okay. I gave it a 3 for directing and editing. I didn't like how the music, certain points seemed really loud. I felt like there was too many long pauses.
Pacing,
yes, was horrible, in my opinion.
a lot of classic sci-fi gives you plenty of time to think about what's going on, and that's part of it. And that can be good, but I didn't need that much time.
To think about.
I didn't have that much to think about in those pauses. Towards the beginning, yes. I think that works towards the beginning, but that pacing was kept throughout. And I didn't think it, from a lot of the movie, I didn't think it needed to be.
Like the beginning and the end seemed pretty decent, pretty good. It was that middle chunk.
Most of the movie.
That was like, what?
For acting, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. The acting was better than... It was one of the highlights of the movie. George Clooney's a fantastic actor. He delivered a great performance, honestly. The actors that were not George Clooney also did very well. Hold on. Felicity Jones played Sully. I'm, in general, a fan of hers, but I've never seen her really knock it out of the park, and that would kind of go the same for this movie. She was good. Not great, but good. Kind of I think the real new talent that I saw that I really liked, and maybe they're not new talent, I just don't know of them, is the girl who played Maya on the spaceship. Maya, I liked. It was a great performance. I'd like to see her in more things. Sanchez, the actor's name is Demián Bichir, Bichir, and I'm not even sure about the first name. Dame. It's got squigglies on top. I don't know what those mean. But that guy, I'd really like to see him in more stuff. He's very watchable. Everybody on the ship was good. Everybody on the ship was, in fact, the acting overall, I probably should have given it a better than a 6.5. I think most of the reason why it didn't go higher is because of the writing didn't take it higher. It didn't give them the opportunity. And that's largely, I think, the reason why I saw the Sully character and I was like, it wasn't real well written. And I think it could have been a better performance had it been better written.
Yeah. I gave it a 6. The acting, I think, was the only thing that kept me wanting to keep watching it. Really. I thought they did a great job for what they had.
Visual arts. So this is cinematography and special effects and things of that nature. The special effects were great. I found especially interesting when the ship was getting hit. This design of the ship and how they showed that it had soft walls, it looked like. That could take a hit and just bounce back. That was cool. That was really well done. Overall, I liked the cinematography. The only real downside for me was the Arctic scenes. It felt like they were on a studio a lot of the time. I could see a lot of the tricks that you would use to make it look like you're not on a studio. It still felt like that. I think you could have given the audience a lot more when it comes to showing how dangerous the journey was, how dangerous the world had become. I think in those shots, instead of being on a studio or using the techniques that they did, I think you could have put more into them to really tell more of that part of the story without wasting a lot of time. You could have solved a lot of those issues with visual arts.
I will laugh if it was shot on site.
It was bad weather.
Really,
didn't get the shots you really needed to, if it was. I'm sorry the actors and crew suffered for that.
I thought the visuals were nice. I thought the effects for the spaceship, I agree on that. They were really cool, especially when the storms and stuff hit the ship. I really did pay attention. I love that ripple effect on the ships and stuff. But yeah.
I like Jupiter too. Jupiter in the background and you're on this moon. That was it wasn't as well done as it could have been, but I still enjoyed it. I liked it. So 7.5 for me.
I give it a 6.
Other arts and technical side of things, sound design, sets, all of that, I gave it a 7 out of 10. The research stations, the spaceship, I mean, these are 8.5 to 9 out of 10. They're really done well. The outside scenes, not so much.
I enjoyed the spaceship. Definitely. The way it was presented and set up. I really liked that one. But yeah, the outside scenes, I don't know. It bored me. I was like, I'm done.
It could be I'm extra harsh on those for every other reason because of the pacing. And I had all this time to just kind of stare at it and tear it apart in my mind, as opposed to being into the story. The story wasn't carrying me along, so I was able to notice things. Overall, me being a classic sci-fi fan, I gave this a 6 out of 10. It's not really high on the list, but I think it is worth watching. Watching once. And that's good enough, but I think it is worth watching. If you're a classic sci-fi fan, if you're okay with stories not having to have a solid beginning, middle, end, Hollywood-style catharsis at the end, if you're okay with just being left hanging and thinking about, well, what's next? If you're okay with that, then you'll enjoy it as much as I did, or more.
I gave it a 4 because I felt like it was a waste of time. But I still watched the whole thing, so I don't know. Maybe there was something that I missed, but
there was nothing else going on that day.
There was just the pacing. The music was pretty, I have to say. Even though it was louder than I think it should have been in the movie. Yeah.
I don't know if it was louder. I just don't think there was anything else going on. So it just sort of stuck out. And it didn't Hans Zimmer me by any stretch of the imagination. I think it was probably good, did its job, but I think they probably put too much on it to do.
Yeah.
Maybe Hans Zimmer could have pulled it off, or John Williams, but beyond that...
Really, if it had just the beginning and cut that middle out and the ending had a nice little twist, a nice ending, I would have liked it better. I really don't think they needed that middle part at all. Could have been an easy 30-minute movie. That's my thoughts.
So she says don't watch it. Yeah. I say watch it. You know why I say watch it. You know why she says don't watch it. So wherever you fall on the kinds of things you like, that's the way to go.